look upon each other and say the words.
I would say the challenge with this sequence was finding a way to present information that at least a good portion of the audience already had in a way that was dramatic and exciting.
The High Septon wed Rhaegar and Lyanna in a secret ceremony.
I mean, it was always meant to be a montage.
Is this something you can see?
The important thing was getting Sam and Bran together because they had varying pieces of the puzzle, but they didn't have all the pieces.
And so to see that actually these were two people in love and that this whole thing that started off the series of Game of Thrones, Robert's Rebellion, was a total lie.
Jon is not just the son of Rhaegar and Lyanna, but he's the true-born son. He's not a bastard.
And that means he's the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, and that changes everything.
Man.
It's great to shoot something that's a revelatory moment. And then, of course, the even bigger revelatory moment.
I think they both know it's wrong. I think they both know it's going to cause problems. But it's that thing, when you suddenly feel that deeply about someone, it's like a runaway train. You can't stop it happening.
You don't even get the relief of how beautiful it could be or should be. It's not good, but it should be, but it's not.
And she's his aunt, so there's that. If that kind of thing would bother you.
Might be the reaction.
I like looking at it and going, oh God, I'm sorry, let's go again. But the fact he is actually heir to the throne, I can lord that over Emilia every day. Every day.
We tried to contrast the various season endings so that they don't feel too similar. So last season we had a pretty triumphant ending with Dany finally sailing west towards Westeros. You're supposed to feel like, you know, it's like a fuck yeah ending. And then this one's like, oh, fucking no.
As a season closer, it's phenomenal. And from a directing point of view, okay, how do we do that?
Every year, Dan and David have cooked up something that makes us read the outline of the script and just go, holy shit, how the hell are we gonna do this?
And what really kind of got me super jazzed, I guess, was when we saw the first conceptual paintings. They're not specific to shots or whatever. They're just like, this is the vibe of this scene. And so they'll do this like beautiful painting of a dragon, you know, blowing blue flame, blowing a hole in the wall. You're like, now I see it. Holy crow, like that is spectacular.
And a lot of it is virtual. There are only so many pieces you can physically shoot. Of course, whatever we can shoot, we did shoot. We have fire elements that were shot that blast against the wall, whites on green screen. We have the Night King on a motion base on the back of zombie Visceron.
For the Ice Dragon, we looked back at the models that we created when Tyrion visited the two sick dragons. Their ribs are poking through the skin, and their skin has become translucent. We added the wound, which is very important, the spear wound that kills him. We also worked on what does his fire look like, because it's not healthy fire. It's it's a magical evil fire.
This sequence is a real proof of just the dedication and commitment of that whole team of people working around the world to make something that's impossible and unreal seem so real and so present.
I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, ho, ho, this is gonna be fun.
Winter is here, and it's all hitting the fan from all directions.
Yeah, we've talked a long time about seeing the wall come down. It's all getting real.
It's suddenly terrifying. They're breaching the wall. You know, it's happening. And it's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Hey everybody, special Game of Thrones episode, so let's break it down. They do a good job of explaining some of the more contentious story points and what they intended. A lot of you have asked me about the conspiracy theories surrounding the beginning of Robert's Rebellion and whether or not Robert found out about the lie and didn't tell anybody. but they also clarify some of the mythology behind Viserion. So just a couple really big questions answered. And if you didn't know, there's a brand new Game of Thrones book that was just published this week. It's a short story about the sons of Aegon the Conqueror. It even mentions one of Samwell Tarly's ancestors called Samwell the Savage. So that book is what the giveaway is going to be for this week. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video. Obviously, we're doing videos till Season 8 gets here. But starting with the Rhaegar and Lyanna stuff, so there weren't as many big questions about the what, the why was the bigger thing here. And I love the way that they say most of the audience understood, but they still had to explain it in a visual way. They said they had that problem all the way back in Season 1, so this has always been a thing for Game of Thrones, is that they have to find a way for the show to convey information, even if it's common knowledge. So R plus L equals J has been a thing since the first book came out. People wondered after Ned Stark had his dreams, was he dreaming about Lyanna having a baby? Maybe that baby is Jon Snow. Martin was probably always going to reveal that information in Winds of Winter. The problem is that even if he did, and that book had been published years ago before we got to Season 6, the show still has to do a version of that. So if you're wondering why the show doesn't do more scenes like this, it's just because they're not absolutely relevant for big information reveals. The only reason the show did this now is because they wanted to create drama between Jon Snow and Daenerys, like create some cracks in the alliance, create a reason for them not to be together. So if you're wondering why we haven't seen the Trident or other big Robert's Rebellion flashbacks, it's just because those scenes aren't necessary for what's happening in present day. So anytime there's some contextual moment that they need and it's a really big book moment, that's what they tend to go for. But as for future flashbacks, just because the previous trend the last couple of seasons has been Jon Snow specific flashbacks, I think that will continue to be the case. So if we get Season 8 Trident flashbacks or something else, I think they'll also continue to be about Jon Snow. But I feel like for the most part, they've answered all the questions they need to about his origins. He's the true-born son of Rhaegar and Lyanna. He has a stronger claim to the throne than Daenerys now. Like Kit Harington makes that joke.
I can lord that over Emilia every day. Every day.
Moving into undead ice dragon territory, this actually confirms some of the things that I previously thought. Like my initial take after the episode aired, people were wondering, why blue fire? Why does Viserion work this way given what happened to him before? The whole explainer is that it is the Night King's magic. He's breathing magical fire. He's flying by magic. Whether you think it works, it doesn't work, that's what they were going for. I think the idea now is he more powerful than the other dragons? Because Drogon is still the largest. I know it's kind of hard to tell because they're all so large now, but Drogon is still proportionately larger than Viserion and Rhaegal. But I think I added it to a previous video. Neil deGrasse Tyson was going all science on the episode where he said that the blue fire was basically 3 times hotter than regular fire. So even if you're not thinking about anything else with the Night King's magic, that by itself would make Viserion more powerful than the other dragons. So the Night King has had 1,000 years to perfect his magic. He gets his hands on a dragon. He probably knows more about the dragons than Daenerys does. And the other big thing, they don't quite clarify it here, but the idea of whether or not Viserion's blue fire can actually hurt Daenerys. The dragons are capable of killing each other, so I think that Daenerys is only resistant to Viserion's blue fire. But if she were to bathe in that, one, her clothes would all be incinerated, so she'd be naked after that. All of her hair would be singed off, and she might get some third-degree burns, but she could probably soak a little bit of damage, and that's just going on the TV show's logic. Daenerys in the books is a little bit different, the way the blood magic protects her against the fire. But a lot of the way any of those battles go will depend on who's there to help them out, because I don't think they're going to do any of that by themselves. But the whole deal with that new short story that George R. R. Martin just published is that it's a sequel to The Princess and the Queen and the Rogue Prince, dealing with Targaryen kings after Aegon the Conqueror. So the new one just deals with his 2 sons. It's actually pretty cool, so I'll probably do a video on it the next couple days and read a little bit from it. It's only about 26 pages long, but it's always fun to read those stories and see how Martin invokes a lot of the stuff that's happening in present day. Like, there are a lot of themes that recur. There are a lot of people that have the same names, like Samwell's ancestor, Samwell the Savage. So I know I also said I'd do a casting video for Season 8. There are a couple minor roles that they're casting, so that'll come in the next couple days too. But tonight at midnight, they're dropping a trailer for the New Mutants movie. Maisie Williams is actually in that. She's playing Wolfsbane. So the wolf from Game of Thrones is playing a wolf in a Marvel movie. So that won't be till midnight tonight, though. Congratulations to Derek for real. Please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. Click here to learn all about the Season 8 episode schedule, and you can click here for that Targaryen prequel trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.